Good morning, Supervisors. Kelly Anderson from Angwin today. I will be speaking a little bit about some research that has been conducted recently by Beth Nielsen. She couldn't be here today because of family health concerns.
Is this related to Walt Ranch, Ms. Anderson?
No, this is not.
Okay.
This is related to the purchase of 6 properties by an LLC named Vinedos AP LLC in May 28th of 1921. Those 6 parcels were purchased, and they are immediately adjacent and west of the Walt Ranch. The Vinedos AP LLC has a mailing address of a P.O. box in St. Helena, yet the grant deed and other documents, the deed of trust, are mailed to 332 Troon Avenue in Napa, which is the home of Supervisor Alfredo Pedroza. Vinedos AP LLC lists its manager as Esteban Llamas, and Esteban Llamas is the father of Alfredo Pedroza's wife, Brenda Pedroza. Esteban Llamas is Alfredo Pedroza's father-in-law. During the last year, the county conducted a public hearing on December 14th where decisions were made to approve the Walt Ranch. And on November 23rd, Alfredo Pedroza, acting as chair of the board, conducted pretrial conference hearings. It brings into question transparency and if Mr. Pedroza and his immediate family stood to have a financial gain by approving the Walt Ranch project, because clearly owning land next to Walt Ranch, where global attention will be brought to the Walt Ranch development by the Halls. Global international attention will be brought to that otherwise remote, burned, isolated area. It appears that financial gain certainly is possible. In addition, Mr. Pedroza represented the County of Napa during negotiations with the Bureau of Reclamation in obtaining control of the resorts, selecting resort concessionaires, and possibly determining what type of development will occur out there. Again, owning property that near those projects appears greatly to be a conflict of interest, and we request that Mr. Pedroza does recuse himself from voting today.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson.
And rescind his vote of December 4th.
Thank you. I didn't want to interrupt Ms. Anderson. If there's further comment along this nature, does it belong here or at 11 a.m.?
Chair, I would say that notwithstanding the representation, the subject matter is very much related to the item listed on the agenda, so I would ask that the board instruct the clerk to move this comment to the Walt Ranch item so that the administrative record of the Walt Ranch be complete and included on this comment.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any public comment on things not on our agenda today?
Good morning. It has been a long time. Yosia Palas, retired Deputy Attorney General, appearing here on an item that I thought was going to be considered at a public hearing, but in light of what the chair just announced, it appears that my comments would not be timely at this point because other actions will be considered in connection with item 13B, the infamous Walt Ranch development. So I will reserve my comments until such time that there is spread on the record a decision by the board to deal with item 13B. And if it is to be considered on the merits today, I should like to reserve my time at that point to make comments thereon. Thank you very much. I understand that it is a short-term item where no public comment will be permitted, but given the circumstances, I believe that it is appropriate to allow
Public
comment.
Public
Thank you.
comment will be available later at 11 a.m.
Thank you very much,
So
Mr. Chairman.
please, there's no need to come up and announce your intention to
Okay.
make public comment at 11 a.m.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Patricia Damery from Dry Creek Road, and I want to speak to you regarding my concern both for the environment and for our democracy in Napa County. It's hard to speak with this mask, and they're really connected. All of my neighbors, including myself, have lost our fire insurance on off Dry Creek Road, on that hillside. We are in the urban wildland moderate risk area, but the insurance companies have classified us as 100 on a scale of 0 to 100 because of the steep slopes and the forested area. So what this means is we can no longer have a commercial policy that is at all affordable if we could find it. Our home can be insured for triple the cost, maybe, and that leaves another little house on our property not insured at all. This is kind of on the backs of having lost water in our wells, all of us, due to climate disruption and also overdevelopment. And now we are losing our fire insurance as well. Still, our county has been allowing and facilitating development in our ag watersheds. And the last one being this consideration of micro wineries. You know, I wonder about if we are losing the ability to insure our vineyard, then what are we doing increasing more movement into our ag watershed? As this is where democracy really comes in. As elected officials, you are to serve the public trust. This goes a little bit into Walt Ranch, but it's very important that we know you are serving the public trust and not your own personal gain. So I'm not going to say more now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Damery. Anyone else in the audience? General public comment?
I think we might have one more.
Okay.
It's for Walt Ranch.
Got it. Anybody on the line, Ms. Hoskins? All right.
Oh. Our first speaker just dropped. I'll move to the second speaker while she can call back. Nancy, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, Nancy, you have 3 minutes for general public comment.
Thank you. My name's Nancy Durbin. I'm a resident of St. Helena, and it's not so much a comment as a request. I am asking that you postpone the Walt Ranch meeting scheduled for 11.
Ms. Durbin? Ms. Durbin?
Point.
Ms. Durbin, sorry to interrupt
Yep.
you. This is agendized for 11 a.m., so that would be the appropriate time.
Well, but I'm asking as a general comment for you to consider rescheduling that agendized 11 a.m.
I understand,
until there can
but
be
that's an appropriate comment
investigation.
for 11 a.m., and you can call back in or attend in person.
Oh, okay. Will the comments then be up first before discussions begin?
I can't, I'm not sure. We'll take public comment at some point, or early in the agenda
Okay.
item, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next caller, Ms. Nelson, are you there?
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, you have 3 minutes. Again, general public comment, not Walt Ranch.
Yes, I understand. This is Beth Nelson. I just wanted to express my deep disappointment that's accompanied the research that was briefly mentioned. I know there's a lot of confusion on what people can comment on right now there's confusion on what people will be allowed to comment on when the Walt Ranch item comes up. It seems that it must be mitigation specific, but since my name was in the room this morning and I can't be there, I just wanted to say that there are pieces of this puzzle that only officials can uncover, and I really strongly urge that it receives the attention it deserves. I do believe that at best we are looking at a chance to heal. It's going to take a lot of work, but we can heal the grave violation of public trust that has occurred that I'm sure more people will soon understand. But obviously the parcels purchased by the LLC that Kelly Anderson mentioned, they need to be examined. At worst, and at the worst case scenario, and this isn't fun for anyone, we're facing more community division. We already have so much of that. And none of us want to crush another person's dreams. But I really do believe that we may be possibly looking at an aspiring climber whose political career might need to come to a crashing halt. And I don't say that to be mean. I just think we really need more than ever integrity. We need integrity, and we need people that have that to be stepping up in these positions of leadership. So I really urge you to please not let this investigation fall by the wayside. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nelson.
Chair, same comment and same request as earlier. So
Yeah,
thank
that
you.
was sort of. Anybody else on the line?
We have Miss Manfree on the line.
Thank you.
Amber, are you
Hello?
there?
All right, so I'm commenting at this point about the same issue, but I'm not commenting about Walt Ranch. I'm commenting about Mountain Peak Winery. So I believe this is an appropriate time to comment. And as a resident of Upper Soda Canyon, whose family has been there for over 80 years, I can assure you that every single project that comes online affects our property value. It's just unbelievable what how quickly our property value has risen over the last maybe 20 years. And, given the effects of Prop 19, that actually stands to be a problem for older families like ours who may be land rich but cash poor. So, I just want to just underscore through my actual experience the extreme outcomes for property values based on all of these planning decisions by the county. And as it relates to Mountain Peak Winery, the county supervisors have been very amenable to trying to push through a development which has received an incredible amount of community opposition, to the point where the county is going to court to fight against residents about this development. And the reason this is related is because Mountain Peak Winery is a project that is located at the end of a dead-end road in a high-risk fire severity zone per CAL FIRE. And the Vinedos AP property has the exact same setup. It's at the end of a dead-end, narrow, relatively poorly maintained road in a high-risk fire severity zone. It's actually pretty close to Mountain Peak Winery. And so I believe there's also a potential conflict of interest in Pedroza voting on items related to Mountain Peak Winery that should be considered going forward and possibly retroactively as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Manfree.
No more callers, Chair.
No more callers. Okay. All right, we are back from a short recess and on to item 13B, set matters for 11. Before we do that, I want to set the expectation for the rest of the day. I think we'll get through this and have time to go to 11B, which are those list of future agenda items before lunch, possibly, which then allows us to have the two groundwater items together in the afternoon. So that's the plan. But with that, before we start, item 13B, and hand it over to Supervisor Pedroza.
Thank you, Chair Gregory. Yesterday I was made aware of some concerns expressed by residents regarding a potential conflict of interest relating to property my father-in-law owns. Out of abundance of caution, I will be recusing from this matter today. I've also reached out to the FPPC for their guidance and await their guidance on this matter, so I'll be stepping out.
Thank you. With that, I'd like to either have CEO Tran or County Council Zeleny talk to us about today's actions.
Yes, thank you. I heard a couple of the speakers today raise a new allegation of a conflict of interest. I want to point out that's different than what we've heard before, where there are allegations of campaign contributions. Amounting to a conflict of interest. You know, we had looked at that, and under the Political Reform Act, campaign contributions in this instance do not amount to a conflict of interest. It's not considered income. And so what the Political Reform Act does with that is just has a reporting requirement you're all very familiar with. But the allegation that was brought to our attention yesterday is similar to what one or two of the speakers raised today, and it is not something that we have had time yet to look into. So what I was going to suggest is that we continue this matter until the next regularly scheduled meeting on March 1st. That would still give us enough time to meet our requirements to adopt the findings within a certain number of days of the hearing, and it would also give us time to look into this. So that was going to be my recommendation.
All right, thank you. So it sounds like a possible continuance. Before we do any of that, is there public comment for us today on this item? Start with the audience. Mr. Paulus.
Appreciate the opportunity. I shall be brief. It is not often that we have a government, whether it be national or local, such as yourselves, that looks into matters being brought by its citizens and the voters and does the right thing. You have been given documents that raise a probable cause matter that there may be some conflict of interest here, and you have chosen to refer this matter to others to investigate, to consider, and inform you as to their findings. And then your appropriate actions will follow those findings if you choose to adopt them. I think that is in the finest tradition of government here, having been confronted with a rather substantial and problematic issue and addressed it. And I, as an individual, want to thank you for standing up for the rights of the citizens that have these concerns.
Thank you, Mr. Paulus. Mr. Hackett.
Thank
you. In other words, no introduction is needed here. You know who I am. Hello, everybody. Thank you for Chair Gregory and all of you except Mr. Pedroza. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I have two comments. One is the following. I want clarification, and I want this on record, that no further action on Walt Ranch until the results are obtained from the investigative agencies, including the California Attorney General, the FPPC, and other federal, state, and county organizations who have jurisdictions over such matters, and we reference this to Agenda 13B. Also, I would like to just make in a more personal note, I like everybody on the Board of Supervisors, and I hope they like me, but that is irrelevant, right? It's irrelevant because you represent the citizens, and I just represent myself at this point. But if Mr. Pedroza were still here, I would simply say he's a reflection of all five of you. So the decision that you all make together should reflect your joint position, because one bad apple spoils the whole case. And I believe we have that in the situation here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hackett. Ms. Damery.
This is kind of an addition to what I said earlier. We are in this really serious climate emergency, but it feels like development has really been pushing the agenda in our county. And the trouble with that is that money begins to come in. It's profit, and it will really be to the detriment of all of us. We're not meant to be governed by an oligarch situation. And if we keep up letting money define the decisions that get made around development, that's where we're headed. I really appreciate the fact that you are going to examine this. I thank you for that. That is what democracy is. And I appreciate that you're listening to us, because that means a lot to us citizens that you listen. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the Mr. Perez?
C.O. Perez, St. Helena. Again, I'd like to thank County Council for taking this as a serious situation and issue in regards to anybody who would be on the board. And I would also hope that as part of this, that any previous decisions that were made in an inappropriate way in regards to this conflict, if it is in fact a conflict of interest, that those also be nullified and are revisited in regards to the votes of you as individuals. Again, this seems to be a step where you're taking a community interest at heart and you're paying attention, and I like that step and that direction for this board because in the past it seems to have been missing. And I think it's an important thing, first and foremost, is your priorities and responsibilities are that of our local community and our local citizens and the best interests of the county, not necessarily an applicant. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. You spent 3 minutes on before, but maybe it's something different.
Thank you, supervisors. You know, one of the concerns I had when you took over the operation of the resorts in the Berryessa area and awarding the concessions was what kind of a gold rush was there going to be by developers in Napa County to find the urban bubbles, the existing maybe commercial zoning out there, and how would that development affect the larger, you know, agricultural parcels, for lack of a better word. They're just undeveloped cattle grazing. And, you know, part of this question, how quickly will local business people buy up that land outside of the Bureau of Reclamation footprint for their own profit, was kind of where this came from. So we will be watching the sales of other properties throughout that area along the Berryessa corridor, and we hope everybody can either do a really good job of hiding who they are or keep a clean nose and just not be investing in that area, especially if it's a conflict with their fiduciary duty in their other roles to the people of Napa County. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Anyone else in the audience? How about the lines, Ms. Hoskins?
We have a caller on the line.
Thank you.
Hello. Thank you, and good morning. This is Elaine DeMann. I think you all have all the information before you concerning Supervisor Pedroza's conflict of interest, so I won't repeat that. And I thank the county's council's comments and for you all for taking this important issue up later. Since Supervisor Pedroza felt no legal or moral compunction to disclose his personal interest in Vinedos AP earlier, I am calling on the other 4 supervisors to uphold the California Fair Political Practices Act and disqualify his deciding vote in the Walt Ranch decision last December. I'm also asking that Supervisor Pedroza be prevented from participating in any further decisions pertaining to Walt Ranch, and that he be formally censured for his previous actions, most notably this apparent conflict of interest. I'm also calling upon the Napa County District Attorney and State's Attorney General and the FPPC to investigate Supervisor Pedroza's interest in Vinedos AP and any other dealings in which Supervisor Pedroza may have a clear conflict of interest in his role as supervisor. We all trust you to represent the interests of your constituents and all the people of Napa County. So thank you for doing the right thing here, and I look forward to seeing what your decision is. Thank you.
Thank you for calling in. Anyone else?
Amber? Ms. Manfrey, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify for the record a few more things about the Vinedos AP property that we've been discussing today. And it is located at the top of Atlas Peak Road, kind of in the saddle of Foss Valley, right across from Peter Reed's property. So it's from west to east, it's Antinori, Peter Reed, Vinedos AP, and then directly adjacent to that are 4 parcels that are part of the Walt Ranch development. It was bought with an existing ECP that was already approved by the county when Peter Reed put it through back in the late 2000s, early 2010s. And that the parcels that are part of Vinedos AP, it's 6 parcels, and they have 14 vineyard blocks approved with 107 acres of potential vineyard. None of it's been built yet, as far as I can tell. It's in the Milliken watershed, and it actually encompasses a pretty significant section of Milliken Creek that is potential special status species habitat, and there is a conservation easement in place around that habitat, which I believe is owned by or managed by the Land Trust. And the other thing I think to note about this, besides that it's at the end of a dead-end road and in a high fire severity zone and will remove a bunch of trees when these vineyard blocks are built, is that if the landowner here is friendly to the Walt Ranch project, they have the potential to create a western entrance for Walt Ranch by way of a access easement with a new road being built. So I just want to point out those basic facts about the property itself on the record. Thanks for your time today, and have a good day.
Thank you, Ms. Manfrey.
Okay, next caller is Nancy.
First, I want to thank all of you for taking the issues that are being brought up seriously and postponing the Walt Ranch issue today. And I want to concur with what everybody has said, and in particular what Ms. DeMann requested regarding censorship and appropriate investigations. I think the allegations that have been brought forward are extremely serious and have far-reaching implications. So I really, again, thank you and encourage you to go to every length to investigate all of this thoroughly. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next caller is David. David,
yeah,
are you
hi.
there? Okay. You have 3 minutes.
I assume I'm on. I would like, we need to look, you need to revisit the environmental impact report, the one you just voted on. In all appearances, the potential of Walt Ranch gaining access to Atlas Peak Road is going to change everything up there, and I won't say it invalidates the environmental impact report, but it certainly needs to address that, and that was not addressed because it wasn't an alternative. It wasn't an option. that is one of the consequences of this, and seeing how it would be in the financial interests of the holders of these 6 parcels and the Walt Ranch Corporation, Texas Corporation, which incidentally, Walt Ranch is on a separate corporate tree of Hall Wines. They don't even touch each other. You can't say that one owns the other at all. We're going to see, it's in their interests, and I believe Atlas Peak access is going to happen now. And so the environmental impact report needs to address that. And that was it, besides the shock of that our supervisor would be taking advantage of this. I realize it's his family, but that's wink, wink, nod, nod, and that's how it's done on the, we've seen it throughout the history of the United States, how politicians take advantage of things, and that's how it's done. And that's it. All the best to you. I hope you guys investigate this and we see some reforms. That would be nice. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Anybody else?
No more callers, Chair.
Thank you very much. I'll bring it back to the board, and I think a good question at this point for our county council is how long would a hold take place for us to properly investigate the matter?
Well, first of all, some of the speakers have mentioned a lot of different agencies that they've referred this to. I just want to point out the FPPC is really the authority on potential conflicts of interest. Anybody else that this matter might have been referred to will likely defer to them. I don't know how long it would take them to turn around an opinion. We're going to look at it independently. Obviously, we probably could do it quicker, but I'm glad to hear that Supervisor Pedroza already indicated that he's referred to matters to them for an opinion. Also like to point out that the conflict of interest laws in the state of California, they're very complicated. There are rules, there are exceptions to the rules, and there are exceptions to the exceptions to the rules. A lot of things that may look like conflicts really aren't conflicts, so I hope people don't prejudge this one way or another. We just need to look at all the information, and then we'll come back. I'm suggesting March 1st. If we get close to March 1st and it doesn't look like we're going to be ready by then, or maybe the FPPC opinion might be pending by then we can probably kick it a little bit longer. I'd have to double check to see how much time we have to do that. But at this point, I still recommend that we continue this matter until March 1st.
All right, thank you. Supervisor Ramos.
You alluded to it, County Council. My question is, in terms of the adoption of these findings, what is the timeline of the adoption of these findings?
My understanding is that we have 90 days from the date of the hearing, and I'm looking at Mr. Dooley to confirm, and he has. We have 90 days from the date that we last heard this matter.
And in the event we're not able to reach resolution prior to that, or in the event that there is a finding of conflict, what are the options then?
I suspect if there was a finding of a conflict, we would probably have to do that first hearing over again. If we haven't heard anything by then, we will have to look at that and try to figure out our plan of action by then. But if there was a conflict of finding, I suspect we would have to hold that hearing over.
It's a de novo hearing?
What's that?
It's a de novo hearing all over.
Yeah, we would do it all over again without participation of
I see Mr. Dooley on the edge of his seat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That would be the result, I expect.
And my next question, County Council, you said that this matter would be reviewed independently. Is this by your office, or are you suggesting outside counsel?
No. We'll look at it.
And can I ask why it would be your office and not outside counsel?
Well, I suppose we could bring in outside counsel. I just figured it's part of our job to look at potential conflicts that we do for all various boards and commissions.
I would suggest as a future agenda item, the last time a board member was investigated, it was done by outside counsel. And so it would seem to be appropriate that we engage FPPC counsel that can look at this matter appropriately if the county is going to take this matter. I think that's for the board to discuss if we just wait for an FPPC opinion, but if there's going to be an investigation of this county, I think that we need to have the appropriate distance, given that it is a member of the Board of Supervisors.
I will defer to the board on that.
Supervisor Dillon.
I think we should wait for the FPPC situation. They have on occasion, when there are these matters that come up that have immediate impact for a local entity, city, county, whatever, can turn them around much more quickly. I mean, not personal experience, but just reading FPPC reports, I know that they can do that. So let's see to do that. And we haven't decided, no one's decided to do an investigation. I think what I heard Mr. Zeleny say is his office is going to do their normal job of what they do, advising all of us in terms of looking at conflicts. That's not an investigation.
I agree with Supervisor Dillon. FPPC is built to do this kind of work, this kind of review, and let them do their work and see what happens.